Hi y'all, I'm back again, and actually I'm recording this video on Christmas, and because I'm doing that, I'm making some cookies, and I'm literally in a race against the clock. I think I have 5 minutes left before I have to go get them, so this part is going to be as quick as possible. So Rebel Ragdoll Press for this year. As you guys know, I didn't get nearly the number of books published as I wanted to. I wanted to get 5 books published, or at least 4. I got 0 books published, which was disappointing for me, obviously, at first. But at the same time, I was able to make some very, very good strides in terms of like my word count and other things that I got done. So just to start off, I was able to finish 120,783 words for my novel series. That's across the series, which at this point, again, looking at it from a different perspective, that's actually quite good considering how crazy and busy I was this year with graduate school, but it's nowhere near where I want to be as a writer. And I seem to be sort of like hitting the same numbers every year. And so, because of that, as I explained to you guys and maybe a former podcast or two, I've decided to actually change up my production schedule and my goals for my publishing press for 2018. We'll talk more about that in the 2018 creative goals post and specific segment on Rebel Ragdoll Press, but I'm going to aim for fewer books and shorter installments next year, basically. What I also did, though, is that I was able to commission 5 more covers for the Hitman of Happily Ever After series, which, I'm trying to keep under wraps a little bit. But if you actually go snooping around on my website, you can find them because they're just so beautiful. I just love them. I couldn't help myself. And they're gorgeous, and I'm excited to, getting into that series and publishing that series. I also commissioned 3 more covers for the Books of Ezekiel series, and that is because, as you guys know, this year, as I was writing the Books of Ezekiel, certain books were getting so long that I had to chunk them down into more than one book. So, like, literally, the Iron Maiden got chunked down into 2 books. And so the book that I'm working on now, instead of the Iron Maiden, is called Hollow Point. And actually, even after Hollow Point, there's even another book that comes before the Iron Maiden called The Haunt. So those are the 2 covers that I got commissioned for the Books of Ezekiel. And then the 3rd cover I got commissioned was the final page book, which, again, because that segment of the entire series was just like getting way too long in terms of plotting, I chunked that down into another book as well. So now we're looking at, for like the first act of the Books of Ezekiel series, we're looking at 10 books, which actually works out perfectly because my plan is to write 40 books in the entire epic urban fantasy series. And so the first 10 books would be Act 1. The next 20 books would be a big ass, amazing Act 2. And then the last 10 books would be Act 3. So basically, I did a little bit of restructuring and rebranding for the Books of Ezekiel series this year at Rebel Ragdoll Press. I got 3 more of those covers made, and I'm actually really excited about where the series is going and how it's developing. But now it's just about, of course, continuing to get the words on the page and getting those books out there. And then the final thing that I actually worked on, aside from those things, is that you guys might have remembered that I mentioned earlier in the year that I would be thinking about opening what's called the Saga Store at Rebel Ragdoll Press. And that is basically like a writer, basically an urban fantasy, and epic sci-fi writer asset store. So for those of us who write epic fantasies and epic sci-fi series, who have trouble building civilizations, worlds, planets, magic systems, science systems, philosophies, religions, cultures, languages, characters, things like that, I really wanted to start getting in the practice of pre-making certain assets and certain intellectual properties for authors to just go into the store and snatch up at their leisure. So let's say, the language is really important in your epic fantasy, but you have no idea how to make one. I do, because I've made one. Myself, along with other authors who love to do that kind of stuff, could just create languages, like fully packaged, prepackaged languages for you guys, list them on the store, You buy them, you pay for the actual content as well as for commercial use and for exclusive ownership over that property. So I'm looking at making these assets, keeping them at a nominal fee, but creating entire worlds, entire religions, entire languages is a lot of work. So that's something that, we're going to try to balance and just kind of keep everything in perspective as we're pricing out these items. But this is basically for people again who really have a great plot or have a great cast of characters but like need a planet or need a world or need a technology system and just either don't feel like creating it, they aren't good at creating it, or they just don't have time to create it. And so a lot of these pre-made assets I hope will really help beginning writers to launch their own writing careers and their own amazing stories by using assets created by those of us who are super passionate about world building. So the Saga Store actually has not gone up yet. It has only been conceptualized. I am going to put a link to it on the Rebel Ragdoll Press website when I finally get around to building the website. And that will be in development as of from now all the way up until it opens, which would be great if it opened in 2018, but realistically, it probably won't open until 2019 and 2020. But that's still something I have worked on for this year. I really thought about and conceptualized specifically as a go-to resource at Rebel Ragdoll Press. So those are the things that I actually achieved this year at the press. I hope next year I'll be able to give you a really lovely semi-long list of titles that we've published at the press for 2018. But despite the fact that I didn't make all my goals this year, I'm still super proud of where we're at and where Rebel Ragdoll Press is at in the larger scheme of Rebel Ragdoll. So those are my cookies. I'm going to go get them, and I'll see you guys in the next segment. Bye.